Toastmaster for the evening. Thank you, Maurice, for the warm welcome, introduction. And before I start, Wes, could you at least give me the title of your speech? Because I don't have an intro for you.
Okay, it was on the evaluation.
I'm sorry, I didn't have it.
It was a presentation on the lessons learned meeting of November 16th of
Okay.
this year.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. We have 3 parts to our meeting, and those 3 parts are as follows. The first portion is the prepared speech, and tonight we have the pleasure of having Wes Hillstrom to give us a prepared speech. The second portion is one that we all can participate in, and that is the table topics portion, where everyone will have an opportunity to give a 1 to 2 minute speech. And then the third portion of our meeting is the evaluation portion. First, we would like to go over the roles and see who's doing what so we all can be aware. Now, the first role that I would like to go over is our timer. Who is our timer for the evening? Let's see here. The timer shows to be, I don't see a timer.
Donovan's our timer.
Okay, Donovan? You've
Yes.
taken the timer. Would you tell us a little bit about that role, please?
Yes, of course, Olivia. Hello, my name is Donovan Malley. I see that we have 2 distinguished Toastmasters in the meeting tonight. So I want to go ahead and introduce myself. Oh. Sorry, Wes. Sorry.
No, Maurice.
So, back to what I was gonna say is that tonight my role is the timer. So those 3 portions of the meeting that I will keep track of the time. The first one is the prepared speeches. Second will be table topics, and the third will be the evaluation portion. So for the prepared speech, the time would be 5 to 7 minutes. So what I decided was to use these base 10 cards, which is color coded. So at 5 minutes, I'll flash these 7 green card. Go ahead, Wes.
8 to 10.
Thank you. So this is sort of the same formatting, but instead of 5 to 7 minutes, it'll be 8 to 10 minutes. So this will be 8 minutes. This yellow 7 card will be, well, amber color. Color will be 9 minutes, and this 7 red card will be at 10 minutes, and then it's the same form as for the table topic. So, but the time will be different. So for table topics, it's 1 to 2 minutes. Green 1 minute. Amber will be at 1 minute and 3 seconds, and red at 2 minutes. Then for the evaluation portion, the time will be 2 to 3 minutes. It's the same routine. Green for 2, amber for 2 minutes and 3 seconds, and red will be at 3 minutes. That was my role of the timer and what the duties that the timer does. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that, Donovan. And moving on to our next role tonight, I would like to talk to the grammarian. Bethany, it looks like you've taken the role of grammarian, and you also can tell us about our word of the day, please. Thank you.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters and any other guests. My name is Bethany. I'll be the grammarian for tonight. I also will be the all counter. For my role as grammarian, I'll be looking at any misuse of the English language. In addition, we have our word of the day, which is genteel, which means a polite, refined, or respectable, often in an affected or ostentatious way. An example sentence would be her genteel upbringing. So we'll be taking note of whenever somebody uses the word of the day. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much for that, Bethany. Could you give me that definition of genteel again? You said polite.
Genteel. So it's
Mhm.
polite or refined, respectable, often in an affected or ostentatious way. And a synonym would be proper.
Okay, thank you. Genteel or proper.
Okay.
Thank you very much for that. And you also are going to take the role of all counter.
So we'll take note of anytime somebody uses a filler word such as or any type of word that is used in place of a pause or a silence.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to our general evaluator. The general evaluator, Maurice, is that going to be you?
Yes, it will. As general evaluator, I will give a general evaluation of the meeting as a whole. And also I will call on the evaluation team to give their respective reports. And that is my role as a general evaluator for tonight. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Maurice. And hello, Jessica, and nice to meet you, and welcome to Hilltoppers Toastmasters. And I heard that you said you would take on the role of being the speech evaluator for Wes's prepared speech. Could you tell me a little bit about that role, please?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Toastmaster Carter. As evaluator for a speech, I get the opportunity to evaluate a prepared speech by a member of the club. And during that evaluation, while the member is speaking, I will record any thoughts or ideas that I had about the presentation, what the speaker does well, what the speaker could improve upon. And then I'll fill in the form and give an oral report covering those tips. And if the evaluator has any extra things that they want to add to their evaluation to watch for specifically, I will be watching for those as well. And it's at the end of the meeting, when it's my time to give the report, I will share those thoughts with the speaker and the club. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Jessica. I think we have gone over all of our essential roles, so I will move us right into our next portion, which is our prepared speech. Tonight's speech will be coming from Wesley Hillstrom. He has been a member of Toastmasters for probably about as long as some of us were alive. No, I'm just kidding. That was just my little roast. That was my little roast, Wes. But he has been a member of Hilltoppers for many, many years, and he's filled in many roles. For us, he is a club coach, a dedicated, encouraging, motivating club coach for Hilltopper Toastmasters, and we are honored to have him along with us, pushing us and motivating us along the way. Tonight's speech will be about the presentation that he worked on for lessons learned for the month of November 2022. Without any further ado, the next voice you hear will be that of the lovely Mr. Wesley Hillstrom.
Before we get into the actual timing, I'd like to make a couple comments. According to the new rules of Toastmasters, I'm no longer a club coach, but I am certainly a cheerleader and perhaps coaching in an informal way.
I missed the new rules.
Well, there are new rules. There are new rules out there.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Okay.
probably Toastmasters International. Also, the speech is going to be essentially read because it was more important for me to report actually what was said during the meeting than for me to try to wax eloquently and try to memorize again. So
That sounds good. I appreciate that. No problem.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. Several items were discussed during lessons learned meeting of November 16th. These included several issues of concern regarding coaching within District 77, such as building team spirit, acquiring feedback from forms designed by our current district director regarding coach performance, the possibility of coach incentives or coach recognition, an examination of coach qualifications, the possibility of incorporating club coaching sessions as part of district training, and the value of commitment. Input was given by all members present regarding meeting agenda items, and thoughts expressed are as follows. Area and division directors should be more involved with the selection of club coaches. Nevertheless, it is certainly important for the district director and club growth director to be familiar with the coaching process. It was indeed very good that early last November, a district workshop addressed club coaching and mentoring. During the past 2 years, 2 factors negatively impacted the recruiting of club coaches and the recruitment of Toastmasters in general. The conversion from the legacy system of Toastmasters education to Pathways and the COVID-19 pandemic. Prospective new members were reluctant to attend unfamiliar virtual meetings, and Pathways does require a certain degree of adaptability. The district is currently interested in recruiting coaches, and work is being done to do that in a creative way. For example, an effort is currently being made to have distinguished clubs partner with those clubs that are struggling. The role of a club coach should be taken seriously. Some Toastmasters have appeared to have lost interest in coaching during the previous year. Although a number of very excellent presentations were delivered by some highly professional, experienced Toastmasters, there was a dwindling of meeting attendees as the year progressed. Although one may have a genuine desire to serve as a club coach, one may initially lack sufficient skill in coaching effectively, or may simply lack the commitment to do so. Effective coaching requires commitment. One should not be distracted from one's commitment as a coach. Lack of commitment in attending meetings could also happen in lieu, for example, in lieu of attending a meeting, one would be more interested in watching a sports event on television. We have to guard against that. I'll give you a very definite example of the value of commitment. I'm a member of the Military Writers Society of America. We had our conference in New Orleans this past August. My responsibility was recruiting veterans to write their own story, to introduce them to a workshop where experienced writers could help them put their thoughts on paper, perhaps as a therapeutic measure, or just maybe they just want to get their stories out. We had room for 40 respondents, and I had a list of people exceeding 40 persons who were interested in taking that workshop. So we had 40 signed up and many waiting in the wings. So I would expect there would be 40 there. There were 24. Why was there 24? I realized that I failed to, in retrospect, what I should have done was get a definite commitment from those who wanted to attend. If I got a definite commitment from those who wanted to attend, those who did not want to commit could have allowed for more people to attend. Again, commitment in anything is vital. As coaching incentives, the addition In addition to recognizing a coach for successfully helping to bring a club to distinguished club level, it would be beneficial to recognize the genuine effort of coaches, even if they fall short of that goal. A pat on the back doesn't hurt at all, especially if one is learning in an atmosphere of enjoyment. In the Toastmasters meeting environment, the socialization aspect has been greatly reduced. Nevertheless, virtual meetings have some significant advantages. You can attend meetings at great distances. We do it all the time. However, there are certain drawbacks. It would not be advisable, for example, to seek a coach from a different country when you have different cultural differences in that situation. There's a trade-off between meeting in person and meeting online. That gives rise for the need to adapt. One must cultivate the ability to adapt to a given situation and be flexible to work within that situation. The ability of a coach to adapt in a myriad of people and situations can be a very difficult task, but with effort, it can be done. It could be helpful for coaches to mentor younger Toastmasters, not only that they become better Toastmasters, but to become future coaches as well. And of course, the addition of younger people could give an age balance within the Toastmasters membership. Appealing to younger people, such as college students, may be a good market with respect to member recruitment. The formation of corporate meetings may be difficult since many people are working at home with limited people contact. I personally agree with Dr. Ralph Smedley's opinion that learning is done best during times of enjoyment. But I'm of the opinion that enthusiasm can play a key role in the recruitment and performance of club coaches. I believe that the building of team spirit within the cadre of District 77 club coaches has merit. The question remains as to how that level of enthusiasm can be achieved and maintained. The club coach must Conclusion. I believe that this project was very worthwhile, and I had the opportunity to work with some very accomplished and knowledgeable Toastmasters. We addressed issues of definite concern to District 77 in a robust manner. It is my hope that the information gained will help the district in future coaching endeavors. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Wes, for that phenomenal speech. I'm trying to get my screen clear here. I'm trying to turn my video back on, but I'm having difficulties. Anyway, let me continue. Thank you very much, Wes, for that phenomenal speech. And I took some very amazing notes. As always, your speeches are so motivating because I can hear and see the passion. And you talked about virtual meetings and how they have their pros and cons, and they do, but how enthusiasm and passion can push through those boundaries, and how we have to learn to adapt and with your passion that you have for Hilltoppers and for just human and for life as a whole, it passes through the World Wide Web. So you being in person versus virtually, truly, I hope everyone that encounters you has an opportunity to witness the passion that you have and the commitment that you have for Hilltoppers. And you talked about the value of commitment, and that is so true, and it is very important. And learning best during times of enjoyment. I think that is so true. I always said that you can turn on a snippet of a song, and I don't care if I learned that song when I was 7 years old, I can still recite it word for word. If they would just put all learning to music I would be a superstar. I wouldn't forget anything, including the periodic table. I wouldn't know it all. Just put it to a song. As a matter of fact, I used to put make my own songs. Anyway, I'm not here to do your evaluation. I just wanted to say that a little bit, and thank you very much for your speech. I will move on to the next portion. It's always a pleasure, Wes, to sit under your speeches and just to be a part of your passion and commitment that you have. Moving on to our next area, and that is the table topics portion where everyone has an opportunity to participate. And that's the one row I did not call on originally. Who is our table topics master for the evening? Let's see, table topics master is Caleb. Caleb, if you would tell us a little bit about your role this evening and then take us right into it. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Olivia. As table topics master, I'll be offering forth different questions or different topics so that everyone has an opportunity to come forth and give a short 1 to 2 minute answer about a certain topic on the fly rather than being prepared ahead of time. And I believe you said I could go ahead and get started now with table topics?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, this is my first time as a table topics master, so hopefully I manage this all right.
Absolutely, you will.
Thank you, Olivia. I actually wanted to start with a question that I was thinking about during Wes's presentation. Recently, I was at a Japanese SciComm conference, and part of the conference was virtual. And there were a number of presentations that pushed the idea that virtual meetings, virtual conferences would be the way of the future, and that no one would want to go back to meeting in person or having conferences in person, which I don't believe at all, because I love going places and I love meeting with people. So my question for table topics is, or my first question is, do you think virtual conversations and virtual meetings will be the way of the future, and that traveling for meetings and hotels and all of the expenses, but also all the fun that comes from traveling to a new place will be phased out? Or do you think we'll go back to how things used to be, or that hybrid will be the future going forward? And Olivia, you were raising your hand?
Yeah, I'll take, I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I'll take that question if you're
Perfect.
done presenting.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Good afternoon, table topics, and most definitely to our honored guests. The question is, in lieu of where we are in our current state as a society, do you think that we will continue to make virtual meetings a reality? Will we go back to in-person meetings, or will hybrid sort of have its place as well? And which do I prefer? Does that make sense to you? Okay, very well. So, and here is where I am. When you said this, when you said that you think, or you had a conversation when you were, I think you said you were in Japan, that virtual meetings will be the way it's going to go, that immediately just causes my heart to flutter, because truly it is my passion to be a public speaker. And the thought of being in a crowded room with, let's say, 100,000 people in my audience and me having the mic is what makes my heart beat. So thinking that I may never get that opportunity crushes my heart. However, I was told that Michelle Obama was at the Fox in Georgia this weekend, and she spoke to a packed out house. So there is hope for me yet. And I am excited about what my future would bring as far as being a world-renowned public speaker. Do I think that virtual meetings will go away? No, I don't. I do think that they have their pros and their cons, and I was excited when I got the opportunity to work hybrid at my job. So that means 2 days a week I get to stay home, and definitely I have a lot of meetings, and most of those meetings are through the same camera that I'm trying to get to work right now, and it's malfunctioning. So I do think that there will be virtual meetings will forever have a place in our society. And one thing, as Wes said, we have to learn to adapt, overcome whatever our issues are. So if it means I have to speak to a packed out virtual house, make that A-OK with me. Back to you, Caleb, and I hope I've successfully answered that question, our table topics master.
Thank you, Olivia. And that was an excellent answer. And I agree. I absolutely prefer giving speeches and presentations in person versus doing things virtual. I know hybrid meetings have a place and I know they're probably not going away, but I once tried to teach organic chemistry to a class entirely online and I near lost my mind because it's seeing just
Oh,
blank
wow.
faces of
Mhm.
students who could not be bothered to be listening or trying to understand. It killed me.
Yeah,
And
that
but
is tough.
oh, Donovan, did you have your hand raised?
Yeah, I just wanted to add what you said, and I definitely know how it feels to be part of classes like that because actually I am in college myself right now, so you can't imagine how many people who doesn't really have the video on and actually listening to the teacher. And I agree with you that it bothers me that they're in class and they're not willing to actually pay attention to the teacher. That's technically defeats the purpose of actually being in college, technically.
No, I
Back to
agree.
you.
Thank you, Donovan. No, I completely agree. If I had virtual classes when I was going through undergrad, I don't know if I would be at the same position I'm at today. I would probably be one of those students who had their camera off and then would wander away and do something else in my meantime and then wonder why I missed an exam that day. Anyway, to the next question and trying to keep in line with the season as holidays start to roll closer. So the question is, if I gave you $1,000 today, and told you that you had to spend all of it today, what would you spend it on and why? If anyone wants to answer that question.
Caleb, I'll take that.
Absolutely, Gloria.
Thank you. If I had $1,000 to spend today, how would I spend it? The first thing that I would do, I would make sure that I would go downtown to the streets of Birmingham and I would just hand out to the homeless blankets, things that they need, clothing, hats and gloves. Probably wouldn't take $1,000 there. But then I would go over to Jess's Place, which is an outreach ministry for women and children. And I would take as many gifts I could take over there for the kids. I would even take time to wrap them. And I probably still would have something left out of that $1,000. Then I would just drive around the corner to Pathways, which is another outreach ministry for women that have been on drugs and that are struggling, trying to get themselves back on point. And I would just stop there and I would just make sure they had the clothes. A lot of the women are going out for interviews. And I would have bought a few business suits and some pumps, and I would drop those off. And I would think then that I would have spent the $1,000. At the end of the day, Caleb, that's what I would do with $1,000.
Thank you, Gloria. That is an excellent answer to the question. And I think that's something that nowadays I feel, I don't know, that people lose sight of. They think in the holiday season, everything gets busy, everything is all family orientated, but there are so many people who are struggling in this season and so many people who need help. And contributing, making those contributions can really help someone in their time of need. And I know it's something that I know I definitely need to do more, but that we could all do more to contribute to people who are in need or who need a helping hand. To give a little shout out, I know Bethany does something similar to this with making handcrafted blankets once a year. And I don't have any ability to make blankets, but she does. And it's cool every time she does it. So moving with another question. And this is a totally opposite mood or a totally opposite vibe from being genteel and refined and helping out society. But with winter seasons and with winter holidays comes a lot of people who lose their temper over things that they probably shouldn't be losing their temper at, just because it's the holiday season and everyone's trying to get their work done in time so they can go on vacation, and fuses are getting a little bit shorter. So the question is, when was the last time you lost your temper and what was it about? If anyone wants to answer that.
I'll answer if no one else wants to, but I've already answered one. The question was, is there something, did you say what have I, or is the question, what have you ever lost your temper about?
Just when was the last time you lost your temper and what was it about?
Oh, no wonder nobody wants to answer.
I can move on to
Yeah.
another question too if
No,
one
no,
wants.
no. We definitely need to be challenged, so I'll just take it. When was the last time? And after all, keep in mind, these answers don't have to be like factual. It could just be telling a story. I think the last time, the question that was presented is, when was the last time I lost my temper and why? And when my son was very young, I noticed that my road rage was affecting him, because I tried not to do a lot of hollering and overreacting when my kids were little, because I knew they were looking up to me as role models. But the only time I would really be expressive is if someone cut me off in traffic or did something, and I would say, and I would get upset, and then he'd be in the back seat in his little car seat. What's wrong with me? Who did? What's the matter? And I'm like, oh my goodness, okay, I'm gonna have to stop that, because it is causing my son to react in a protective but an overreacting manner. So as he is now an adult, and a few days ago, I was waiting patiently for my parking spot. And mind you, I am not one of those that look for an up close spot. I'm always looking for ways to try to increase my steps. So if I can park at the back and walk in, I'm fine. So that made it even more agitating. I'm way at the back. Surely there were spots up closer. Why would you come back here with my blinker on and take my spot? Needless to say, I overreacted only to myself. My windows were up, and I probably said a few things or reacted more than I wanted to, but no one was a direct witness or victim of it but me and the steering wheel. So that's probably the last time I overreacted, and that's what it was about. And that's my answer for your question, Caleb. Back to you.
Thank you, Olivia. And I have to say, I'm absolutely guilty, especially since well, actually, it's gotten a bit better since I've moved down to Mobile. In Charleston, South Carolina, for anybody who's ever been, it's populated with some of the most confusing drivers I've ever seen in my life. I've seen people just on a straight road turn into a ditch, from just come to a complete stop and then turn into a ditch for no reason. And right in front, I've been trying to work on my road rage, and
Yes.
fortunately it's all between me and the steering wheel as well. I try to keep being genteel and not say
Mhm.
anything.
Yes. Yeah, well, my son's an adult now, and I've been holding on to this rage for many years. So now I no longer have to make those, everlasting impressions upon my children. They are adults. So, and I was in the car by myself, so I can do what I want to do. Let it go too. Just to
Right.
myself, of course.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm sorry to interrupt. It's time for us to move on to the third portion of the meeting.
Okay. Um, Thank you, Maurice, for reminding me because I forgot when we had to move on. But transferring over to you then.
Okay.
Or to, thank you.
Toastmaster, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. And I really enjoyed our table of topics portion of the meeting. And now we're moving into the final phase where we evaluate what we have done and how well we did it. So I would like to call on our general evaluator, Maurice, to take us through this portion. Maurice?
All right. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And before I get into my general evaluation of the meeting, I will call on my evaluation team, and I'm sure that they will give a very genteel evaluation of the speeches and the timings and the uses of English language, etc. So at this time, I will go to the speech evaluator, which is Jessica, going over Wesley's speech.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. And Wes, for a wonderful presentation. I love listening to you speak. Tonight's presentation was a reflection on your lessons learned from the project you did, which was about inspiring and leading and encouraging fellow Toastmasters to become club coaches and how to effectively fill that role. Throughout the whole journey, I was able to see various different parts of it and see you go through the whole journey. So listening to this lessons learned presentation, I had a lot going through my mind. On the evaluation you gave me, you did give me some specific things you were looking for, and you said the purpose was to deliver an 8 to 10 minute speech before Toastmasters Club on some of the main points of concern to the speaker's project. And then I also looked at the lessons learned project, and the presentation is to cover your insights and what you gained from it as well. During your presentation, you did give both. You gave thoughts and feedback from those during your lessons learned meeting, and you gave thoughts and feedback about what it made you think of and how you connected to it. One thing I did notice was that you went really long on what the others were saying about the specific project, and you left a little time to how the project impacted you as a leader and what you had gained as a leader in that situation and your experience through the lessons learned project. So you did do both. I would have liked to hear a little bit more drawn out about what you had learned, because I feel that that would have given everybody here a little more insight about the benefits of these projects for them and what they could gain from doing those as well, and hear some ways they can improve or you helped others improve. And that's what I felt was missing. Your presence, though, when you began your speech, you gave us a little bit of an introduction to it, but I didn't feel you were 100% confident, especially when you said, I will read instead of having to remember it all. I know you, Wes, you remember things and you tell great stories. And then when you got into your reflection and you were sharing the story about the veterans, you really got into it, and your whole presence changed about the presentation. So I'd like to hear more of that during your presentation. And I know you were reading and trying to keep things accurate. In a situation like this, it is okay not to have 100% accuracy. However, through the whole project, you were very genteel and your presentation was genteel, and you were able to give us that experience without being overwhelming. I felt it was really well done. Your eye contact for reading was well done. You gave us enough gestures and you were relaxed and you were confident. And your presentation was wonderful and gave us enough feedback that we can take information and share it with others. And thank you for your presentation. Mr. General Evaluator.
All right, thanks, Jessica. At this time, we'll go to Donovan with the timers report.
Yes, thank you, Maurice, and honored Toastmasters. So tonight I was the timer, and I have evaluated all 3 portions. I evaluated the table topics, the general evaluator, well, not the general evaluator, sorry about that, the speed evaluator, and also the table topics. So I'm going to go ahead and start at the beginning. So for Wes's speech, you're on 8 minutes and 12 seconds. And then for the table topics, Olivia's first was 1 minute and 53 seconds. Gloria's table topic was 1 minute and 23 seconds. And Olivia's second table topic was 1 minute and 36 seconds. I don't know if anyone else did any table topics, but those are the people that I actually timed. So I assume that is all the people that spoke. Spoke at the table topics portion. And then my next portion will be the evaluation of Russell's speech. Your time, Jessica, as the evaluator was 3 minutes and 26 seconds that I counted. So that's the time also report of the meeting. I thought all the speakers were very genteel and refined. So after I did a little spiel about the meeting, personally, I'm going to go ahead and relinquish the baton back to the general evaluator tonight.
All right, thank you, Donovan. At this time, we will have the grammarian and all counters report with Bethany.
Okay, thank you, Maurice. From our report for today, for our use of the word of the day, I noted that Jessica said our word of the day twice. Maurice, you said it once. Also noted that Donovan, you said the word of the day once. And our last person was Caleb, who said the word of the day twice. As for our all counter, I noted that Wes said the word around 3 times total. And I also noted that Caleb, you said once. And that concludes my grammarian and all counter report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. At this time, I'll give the general evaluation of the meeting as a whole. We did have a 5-minute recess, and we did have to fill in a couple roles, but otherwise the meeting went pretty much smoothly. Wes, he gave a good speech about the lessons learned on his DTM project. And then we had some interesting table topics to follow. And then we went into the evaluation period. And overall, it's been a smooth meeting. And I thank the guests, Jessica and Gloria. Yes. So this will conclude my general evaluation, and I would like to relinquish the lectern back to Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Maurice, for your general evaluation, Jessica, for an impeccable evaluation to Wes's speech. I think you were right on the money. It was very genteel. I think overall we had a great meeting today, and welcome again to our honored guests. And thank you for taking the time to show up and hang out with us here at our virtual Hilltoppers Toastmaster, and I sure hope you have enjoyed. It is customary for us to talk to our honored guests and give them a few seconds, if they will, and give us a little feedback, whether you guys want to tell us a little bit more, or shall I say you ladies want to tell us a little bit more about yourselves, or if you would give us any feedback that you have about the meeting. Believe me, we have tough skin and we're always looking to improve. And this is a good way for us to know that, well, this is how we do it. And maybe you can help us in that area. So don't hold back. We have a couple minutes before we end. So I would love to take this time to ask you ladies for your words. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Olivia. Hilltoppers, great meeting. Toastmaster Wesley, I really appreciate your laboring. It's been going on for a while. I sat in on your meetings over a year or so ago, and we've come to the end of that journey. Tremendous laboring and efforts. I use your information and I did get your permission, and I share that with the Club Growth team. Valuable information. Thank you so much for sharing with us. I really enjoyed this meeting. I would love to see Bethany jump in on table topics, and Maurice. I would love to see you just jump in there with table topics. It's just a great opportunity to get your feet wet and build up that confidence. And Caleb, I just have to say this, you sound like an airline pilot to me, but great meeting. Thank you all so much. Donovan, I just love your stick-to-itiveness when it comes to what you have to do. Great. And Olivia, you and I may need to talk, and we have similar passions and desires, okay?
Absolutely. I would love to hear from you anytime soon. I will post my number in the chat. And I heard you say you're from the Birmingham area. So
Yes.
the last time we did a huge giveaway, we were in the Atlanta area. So that's part of what I do. We have different events. I partner with other nonprofit organizations, and we go out and do a lot of things. I've heard of Pathways before, so I was very familiar when you said Pathways and the things that they do. So I honor anyone that takes the time to be selfless. So I really appreciate what you are doing for the community and how you would spend your $1,000. Some of mine would have been spent the same way. I was so upset that I couldn't. I'm like, oh, I want to answer that question, but I thank you for the encouragement. And truly, tis the season. So it is important for us to keep those reasons. So again, thank you, Caleb, for those thought-provoking questions. And Ms. Gloria, I don't want to, I would be remiss if I did not tell you that you are not looking at a future airline pilot, but you are looking at a scientist who has traveled many areas of the world, and he is in his final years of his education. And also on the roster, we have Miss Bethany Jackson, who is a future medical profession, soon to have MD behind her name.
Wonderful.
So I would be remiss if I didn't correct you in there.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, and we are, as you can see, we are excited to have them as a part of our Hilltoppers. This is their first quarter. They just became members, or this is their first term with us, shall I say. So Bethany and Kayla, please correct me if I misspoke, but I know for sure you have a scientist coming up. You are a scientist, and Bethany will be a doctor.
That's true. Thank you, Olivia. Hearing I have an airline pilot voice is a first. Normally I hear that I sound Scottish or something to that effect. I just roll with it at this point. It works for me.
But I do hear airline pilot now that she's saying that. I can hear you very well on the speaker, ladies and gentlemen. We have reached our resting altitude. I can hear that very clearly.
I'll have to keep that in my back pocket as a plan B. Or
there you go. There you go.
Thank you all.
Bethany, were you going to say anything before Jessica unmutes herself?
I didn't really have much to say today.
Okay, thank you. Jessica, I think you were about to say something.
Oh, I just wanted to thank you for inviting me and allowing me to participate in this meeting. As Gloria said, it's a wonderful meeting. I enjoyed it. We have lots going on, a lot of participation, excitement. It was great to hear everybody. Thank you. Thank you for having me at your meeting tonight.
Jessica, where are you visiting us from?